Hello and welcome to Let That Sink In. My name is Tiffany Smith, Director of Marketing and Communications here at PM and Associates. And I am joined by my wonderful co-host, Todd Morgan, outside sales rep in St. Louis. Hello, Todd.
Hello.
How you doing today?
Wonderful. Glad to be here.
Wonderful. We are on episode 23 of Let That Sink In. And today we have a special guest, Joe Flood, who is the Eastern Regional Sales Manager for Acorn. How you doing today, Joe?
I'm doing great, guys. Really appreciate you having me on.
Excited to have you here, Joe.
So happy to have you here. Joe, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and your job at Acorn.
Sure. So I've been with Acorn coming up on 2 years. Will be in September this year. Cover the Eastern region for Acorn. So I guess easier put is probably Midwest, Northeast, Southeast sales territories. Manage 20 reps within that territory, the greater territory as a whole. Prior to working for Acorn, worked for a couple different rep agencies out of Chicago. So done kind of both sides of things. That's where I'm also currently based. I was with one agency for about 7 years, did more kind of hydronic side of the industry, and then did about 5 years at another plumbing agency in Chicago. Did about 1.5 years in logistics. That was kind of my break from the plumbing industry as a whole. And then, like many people say, you don't spend too much time outside of the plumbing industry. Mm-hmm. It always finds a way to suck you back in. And here I am, and happy to be back in the industry, coming up on 2 years.
That's awesome.
That's great.
And that's so funny you say that, because anybody who's left the industry ends up back in the industry because it's inevitable. It always sucks you back in. It's the plumbing black hole.
It really Absolutely. Does. Good black hole to be living in, though.
Heck, yes, it is. Yep. We were actually, Tiffany and I were just discussing how great how before we came live, how good the industry is and how good the people in the industry are.
As many as my other marketing jobs that I've had in this industry, the people are what make my job the best job that I've had in marketing. So absolutely, you can't beat the people in the plumbing industry.
Nope. I'm proud to be sucked back into it at some point, just like you know. So, well, we're excited to have you here, man. And I've had the pleasure.
We have exciting stuff to talk about today.
Yeah, we do. We got some really exciting. Well, as we were talking earlier too, I mean, Morris Group International just never ceases to roll out new products. It's just constantly, it seems like, introducing new things. And right now is a very, very busy time for Morris Group International, as they've introduced a new PRV into the market. Dennis DeHaan will be one of our guests on Let That Sink In, so we can talk about the new PRV. But Joe, you're here because within another division, and since we are a stainless steel company, we have now introduced commercial sinks, which is incredibly exciting. So, that's one of the reasons we have you here. We want to talk about that commercial sink line and get into some detail. So when exactly did this launch?
It launched. So we did a soft launch back in the middle of April. So just a couple months ago. Probably want to take you back to its infancy stages a little bit too. So when it kind of became a concept for us, was about September 2022. So just about 1.5 years from cradle to grave launching. We had a vision to develop a commercial stainless steel sink line. There was a need for it in the marketplace. Mm-hmm. We were getting a lot of questions from wholesalers, contractors, specifiers, and it really seemed that there was a need for it in the marketplace. And we were able to bring it to market pretty quickly. So it's nice working with Morris Group International as a whole. When you work for a privately owned company, when you have an idea, you have a concept, you don't have shareholders to answer to.
Right.
It's really nice to be able to do that development on your own. And we're really excited and think it's going to be a great line and opportunity for us with the new commercial sinks.
As do we. We're excited about it.
Absolutely. Well, obviously, Acorn is so well known for its hand washing products, including the stainless steel and solid surface hand washing stations. So it makes, obviously, like you said, perfect sense for Acorn to start producing the commercial stainless steel sinks. So can you tell us a little bit more about the benefits of these sinks?
Yeah, absolutely. So you come out with a new product line, you kind of have to, there's going to be certain things you're going to be doing similarly to your competition, but you obviously have to be able to differentiate yourselves a little bit. Mm-hmm. One of the things that we've always done on our stainless steel is provided a number 4 polished satin finish. That's our tried and true finish. The sinks line is going to be no different there. And then just with commercial sinks as a whole, there's some particulars that specifiers look for when they're specifying the product. some things that also helped out with contractors in the field. So like I was saying, a lot of things that we're doing similarly, but some of the different things that we're doing would be our sound deadening pads underneath. Some of the competition, they elect to go with a spray foam insulation. In addition to that sound deadening, we're just doing sound deadening. That way, you don't get anything peeling away, cracking over time. On the other side of that, it will also make the sink just completely recyclable when it does come to the end of its life cycle.
Could you expand on that point a little bit?
Yeah, so that's something that what specifiers will look for, whether it's just a standard project or something that needs contribution to lead points. It's something that's come up and gained more popularity in the last few years. So we wanted to just keep it simple. And just on the sound deadening side of things too, depending on what space it's in, it sounds like a very just trivial point, but it really means a lot when you have when water hits the sink, right? You don't want anything, any carry, any echo at all. Especially in healthcare settings, lab settings, even classrooms, things of that nature. Little things to look out for that, small little things that we've added to our package that make a huge difference for the owner.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Joe.
No, just on the, construction of the sink side of things. So we have, another thing that we're doing a little bit different the vertical sidewalls of the sink are very tight, very small internal radiuses. That makes the sink unable to be nested and stacked, which is very important because it's going to minimize some of those dings, some of those scratches that you'll get in transit. When it gets out to the job site, a lot of times stuff will sit there. There's opportunity for trade damage out there. We want to be able to minimize a lot of those things. And we think we put together a pretty good construction of the sink to help mitigate some of those issues that do end up happening. Those
vertical sidewalls give you tighter corners as well, don't they?
They do.
Yeah, which is easier for cleaning. And we should talk about the corners. Those are not forgive me for the lack of a better term, but like a 3-point meeting point. There's going to be some smoothness in that corner, but not a lot of smoothness in the sense that you're going to be able to set a glass in that sink and not have it tipping over because the radiuses are so extreme on the edges. It seems like we really, really tightened our radiuses so that you can set a glass in the bottom of even a smaller sink.
We did, yeah. So, for one of the many applications you're going to find commercial sinks in is, office spaces, retail spots, restaurants. You want to be able to set as many dishes in the sink as possible. And then to your point with the wine glasses, we can typically fit about 8 in a single bowl sink, which if you're counting wine glasses, that puts us at the most. It's kind of a cool little selling point.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody, but it definitely means something to a certain set of owners when they have their finished product out in the field.
Yeah, I think it's obviously giving you more surface in the sink itself, more space in the sink itself. So, and then one other thing I want you to just kind of touch on, help me anyway, and definitely help those of us, our listeners, the number 4 polish. I'm used to 304 stainless, things like that. But a number 4 polish, is this speaking more to like the architect when I see a term like a number 4 polish? Is that more of an architectural term? Because the numbering system of polish is kind of foreign to me, kind of new.
It is, right. So it is 304 stainless steel, which is kind of our tried and true method we've always used. The number 4 polish does give a little bit of a cleaner satin finish. We're just doing that standard. We're not differentiating. Some of the competition will use, I wouldn't say a lower grade of a finish, but they do kind of have a good, better, best model. We would just want to stick with our best finish that we can offer, which is that number 4 polish. So engineers do a lot of the specifying in sinks, but a lot of that also gets passed on to the architect, like you said. And that's really been a big selling point with the architect at the specifier level. It's just having one clean finish. There's no need to differentiate, nothing that they have to look out for that's different. It's just one clean finish across the board for the full product line.
Just something bundled up good with fewer options to make it easier for them so they can make the choices.
Absolutely. Try to make it easy to specify, easy to stock, easy to sell.
So let's talk a little bit about damage. You mentioned the nesting, right? The inability to nest because of the vertical sidewalls and things like that. We've received sinks here and they're individually boxed and they're boxed so well. Can you tell us a little bit about the way you're packaging these sinks as far as minimizing damage, et cetera?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was something that was really important to us. Obviously, it might take up a little bit more space when you have to stack them in a box, but we kind of did a little trial run where we actually took one sink, we sent it out to each of the sales managers across my division with Acorn, and then kind of our colleague division, if you will, quick ship, the sales managers, each one of them got their own sink. Everything held up really well in transit, as you know, UPS, FedEx, things can get beaten around, they can get damaged along the way. But that was really important to us. We want to make sure that when the product leaves our factory to the time it's installed, there's nothing different. It looks the exact same way before it was put in the box. The box itself, it's a heavy duty corrugated cardboard. And then just kind of speaking to the same thing with the sound deadening pads, it still makes it very recyclable, easy to dispose of on job sites. But we really just want to make sure that from the time it gets, it's at our factory, it gets punched with whatever punching configuration that's specified, to the time it's installed, the thing looks the exact same way. And the packaging is pretty robust, like you were saying.
It very much is. And, what I had seen, I've sold commercial sinks in my lifetime. You've seen a lot of your drop-ins really take it on the corners and the edges. And since it's a drop-in, it's done, right? I mean, you can't put it in.
Right. With a red drop-in sink, like you said, there's nothing to hide, right? I mean, that upper upper lip's going to be exposed, right? So that's a really good point too. Just that's one thing that we really wanted to look out for with our packaging, making sure with our packaging on double bowl drop-in sinks, that internal ledge, more times than not, would tend to get damaged. That's the first thing you look for when you open up a box. So with our packaging, we're really helping to mitigate some of those issues, especially on that internal ledge. That thing gets bent, there's really no way to repair it. You have to replace it.
Yeah, you can't bend them back. They never go back the same way ever.
No.
So it's
So
scrap metal
important. And going
to the recycle yard, right? And
absolutely.
and ours is easier to recycle. So but as customers receive their Acorn-Sinks, I assure you, it's going to be something you notice. You're going to notice the packaging, because we did. I mean, as we started to unbox that thing, we were just like, oh my gosh, look at this. I mean, every spot has some sort of cardboard coverage on it, protecting it. So a driver's really going to have to mishandle that bad boy to put some damage on our sinks. So, but
absolutely,
they managed to do it.
If there's a well, there's a way, right?
Exactly. Well, it's very
maybe
impressive.
not anymore. Maybe not anymore. Maybe this is the end of it, because
We
these
came up with
packages
a
are so
way.
good. That's right. Well, Joe, you have also come up with such an easy numbering system for the sinks. Can you explain the part numbers and how the part numbers break down to describe the sinks?
Yeah. So just like with some of the Acorn product lines, we try to use the same type of nomenclature and how it reads across on a specification, on a submittal, on a fixture schedule, just to make it easy for all levels, all stakeholders, right? So specifier down to the wholesaler, our reps quoting the product, the contractor doing submittals. So like you said, we tried to rationalize it to be very simple to read. So just for an example, an SD ADA 2522 is just an example of one of our model numbers, right? That first location is going to be an S or a D. In this case, it'd be an S. That's for a single. D or a U would be for drop in or undermount. That third location, it's either gonna read nothing there. You'd move on to your next set, or if it's ADA, obviously would read ADA. So an SD ADA is going to be a single drop-in ADA sink. The next set, we kind of use an XXYY configuration. So your XX would be your 25, your YY would be your 22. And this is something that can always get, I wouldn't say confused, but it's easy, if you're not familiar with the numbering system, to reverse things around. The easiest way is 25 is your left to right, that's your length across, and then your 22 is your width going front to back on the depth of your sink. So tried to make it pretty easy there. That's just going to be your base model. And then we do have, a number of different punching configurations. What we're stocking is just those standard, if you will, shell of the sink, but you can punch 8 different configurations. So you might have a SD ADA 2522-3. That -3 is probably the most common punch, 3-hole punch on 8-inch centers.
Gotcha.
And obviously, it just makes it really easy for people to read. And it does kind of mirror in a way some of our other stainless steel fixtures that we do offer with Acorn, whether it be showers or security fixtures, something of that like, where you have everything kind of separated by hyphens. Things can get a little jumbled together when it all just kind of reads as one model number. So I feel like ours is a little bit cleaner, a little bit easier to read, a little bit easier to specify.
I think it's incredibly easy to read.
Yeah.
It's one of my, it was as we were rolling into the sinks and getting into the catalog, it was kind of one of my favorite things that you guys did, because I think the numbering system just makes perfect sense. You're essentially describing the entire sink with that model number. So I think it's very simple. And also your literature is outstanding too. The Acorn-Sink literature looks so good. So very impressed with that too. But this is a commercial sink line. This is not residential. This isn't workstations and things like that you're going to get in a lot of the showrooms. Where we're going to focus with this product is in healthcare and schools and office buildings and break rooms and things like that. But we're in our kind of our infant stage here, right? Of the sink line. I would assume we've got some plans to expand our offering that we currently have. Can you speak to where we're going with Acorn-Sinks in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. So we wanted to hit the market quickly, and doing that, we had to stick to, like you're saying, in those commercial spaces. So phase one is all 18 gauge. We are looking to potentially expand into 20 gauge down the road. That could take some time to do, just because we want to make sure that we complete and round out our 18 gauge offering first. But like you said, it's schools, retail, healthcare, labs, and there are even markets where you're going to get 20 gauge in a multifamily or multi-residential setting. But what we found just in our recent travels and calling on specifiers that are, specifying that type of work, 18 gauge actually happens to be the common spec depending on what territory you're in the United States. So we want to be able to meet, the 80-20 rule, right? So 80% of the market needs, and also with our sizes and our dimensions. And then we're going to kind of continue to build out the line. We probably won't ever get lighter than a 20 gauge. I always kind of like to use the example of, you can almost drop a bar of soap in like a 22 or a 23 gauge sink, and it can end up dented. And that's just something we don't ever want to do. We want to keep it nice, clean, high quality. And a lot of the feedback we've gotten so far, again, just from specifiers, is their base spec is 18 gauge. Yeah. And there are times, depending on, budgetary constrictions, owner preference, they might deviate from that and allow a 20 gauge, but 18 gauge is really where the bread and butter gauge, so to speak, in the commercial sinks market.
Makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, it doesn't hurt to be late to the game, if you will, right? Given an opportunity to look at your competition and see where you can improve on some of those things and introduce a little slightly better mousetrap. So I like I said, and same with our PRVs, which like I said, we'll talk about that with Dennis, but not always bad to be the last guys coming into a market, or the newer guys into a market, so that you can expand on, hey, there's good product out there, but we can make it better, right?
What works and what doesn't, and how can we do it better? Yeah.
And what people like.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it is a commodity item, but you still have to make sure that you're differentiating, right? You have to give someone a reason to specify it, to buy it, to put it in. So you're going to come out with a similar mousetrap, but there's going to be some different things, some things that you do differently to really help out the customer. So
yeah, which you guys absolutely have. Yeah. So speaking of that, where can our customers and our viewers of Let That Sink In find more information and the resources as far as cross-references, spec sheets? Where can they find all of that, Joe?
So Acorn-Sinks, we have a fully built website. Our marketing team, along with our engineering team, has just done an excellent job throughout the process, going back almost 2 years to this point. Yeah, building everything out. Each of the product pages is going to have a number of different items, and something that's really just helpful for everyone, right? So whether it be an architect who needs a CAD or a Revit drawing, all the information's there. We have downloadable submittals and spec sheets. You can actually find digital copies of that literature, if you're just surfing the website, on each one of those product pages. And then for, some of those physical literature items, our representatives, you guys do a great job of stocking that at your guys' offices and locations around the U.S.
I wanted to show this.
That's our marketing.
That's gorgeous.
It's an outstanding piece. It really is. So well put together. So easy to read. Yep. All of the information that you need is there. Part numbers up top, all the descriptions. I think you guys just nailed it with this. The marketing was outstanding. So applaud to your marketing department.
We appreciate it. They really did do an excellent job. And kind of the idea, which is that what you had pulled up there right there, Todd, is one of our sister divisions, J.R. Smith, the PG, the newest iteration of the price book every year. Something that obviously changes is the price, but what always stays the same is each one of those pages is going to have every bit of information that you need about that model or about that particular product all in one page. We try to do the same thing with the Sinks catalog and have an engineering guide. You know, we call it the technical brochure guide. It really is for the specifier, but if you're a wholesaler, you're a contractor, again, it's going to have every piece of information that you need in physical format. And then we kind of just took that, mirrored it, and translated it to our website. So everything just kind of reads the same, and it's all very similar in that way.
Well, it's been incredibly well received by the contractors that I have presented to. They love it. They love the fact they have an option, right? That's really been one of the biggest compliments, or if you call it a compliment, that we're getting in the field, or feedback, I should say. It's not necessarily compliments, feedback. We just needed another option. We're so glad we have another option that we can look at. Obviously, it's a specified product, so that's where we come in, right, Joe? That's where it's time for us to put the feet on the street, go see the engineers, and get this product specified. But that's not going to be a problem. And the engineers that we've already shown it to love the sinks. We're getting into the specs, and that's going to be the name of the game. But I know that the contractors out there and the wholesalers who haven't had their hands and eyes on an Acorn-Sink yet, they will be impressed when they get a chance to see one.
Absolutely. And then, like you're saying, that's the biggest thing, right? In order for a wholesaler or a contractor to trust you, you have to do the specification work on the front end. You know, engineers, architects, no matter if it's a sink or any other of our products, or, you know, any competitor, really what they're doing is they're always a moving target. Like you constantly have to hit the specification trail and call on those engineers and architects. The last thing you want to hear is from a wholesaler, you get them to submit on your product, and then it gets rejected because they've done all that work. You know, it's easy to lose trust. It's easy for them to lose trust in you if you don't do that work on the front end. So that's really important. You know, we've been out blitzing territories, working with all of our reps across the country, really trying to hit the ground running with Sinks line, with the Sinks line. And like you said, it's really important when you launch a new product line to have it in stock and readily available. All of our reps are stocking it. We have factories in California, down in Montgomery, Alabama. We have sinks stocked, and the goal was really to have that wide distribution and have it as close to customers as possible. And we feel like we've met that need so far. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah, all right. We're ready for the orders. We want to start shipping.
We just got to start selling it.
Always. That's right.
Exactly. Yeah, we're doing that. Joe, is there anything that we've missed? I mean, anything we haven't touched on that you would specifically like to, you know, just make sure we touch on before we wrap up? Let that sink in.
I would just say, you know, specific to sinks, I would say probably not. I think we've covered everything. But as far as just, you know, working with Morris Group International as a whole, we really try to come out with innovative products. We're always constantly doing that. So when it comes to a commercial sink line, how you can package that together and really maybe kind of cut some of your costs, but really provide a value package to the owner is packaging some of our products with some of our other divisions, right? So kind of mentioned J.R. Smith, that goes really hand in hand with the drain package. Typically fixtures and drains go together. Murdoch bottle fillers and water coolers. Acorn has, you know, a number of the legacy hand washing products. We also have Neo Metro with some of our newer solid surface and stainless steel hand washing lavatory system within that offering. So as a whole, you really can't. There's no reason to look any further, right? Like when you're looking to package products on a project together, Morris Group as a whole has everything that you need within that plumbing category. So we feel like we're just a great partner in that way, because we can come out and give you something for everything on that plumbing fixture schedule.
As your representative, I can tell you that's exactly, it's a perfect description of Morris Group International. And you guys have so many products that all go within the ecosystem, right? Yep. They all work within their own ecosystem. So Acorn can be a great benefit to you on a project, and that's any market. So, but reach out to your local representative if you're watching this podcast and you want to learn more about Acorn-Sinks, and the whole MGI line, because it is an impressive line. And Joe, we're honored to be your representatives.
Yes. Yeah, thank you so much, Joe. We can't thank you enough for coming on today. We're so excited about this product launch. We love working with Acorn and the whole Morris Group family. So we really appreciate you coming on.
Well, the feeling is mutual. I say anytime we launch a new product line, it is really a joint partnership between us and our manufacturers reps. So, and then even just with sinks, I mean, you guys were instrumental to helping us develop the product numbering system, breaking out the actual dimensions and the whole gambit, right? So we're excited to launch and really looking forward to continuing strong with the new sinks line.
Awesome.
Absolutely. And for more information, please reach out to PM and Associates. You can find all of our contact information online at p-massoc.com. Thanks again for joining us, guys.
Joe,
Awesome.
thank you so much.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Have a
Have a great
day.
day.
You too.